What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Fellow Show. My name's Kyle. Today, August 19th, Saturday morning here, we're just hanging out, we're drinking some coffee, and we're going to talk quarterback rankings in this video. The rest of my Saturday, I'm going to be spending time putting out running back video, a wide receiver video, and a tight end video. So all the rankings are going to be updated, and I think this is going to be my last rankings update for those positions. I will be doing a website update I guess before next weekend and then before Labor Day as well. So we have two more rankings updates on the site, but this is going to be my final, this is the rankings that I'm heading into most of my drafts with. So let's hop into a screen share here, guys. And again, everything's free on the fantasyfellowship.com. If you go to the 2023 playbook, that's where you can find all the goods. Scroll down here a little bit. I did put some ranking tabs here. You can check that out. That's what we're going to be clicking on. And then I do have a universal rankings cheat sheet that you can download. Otherwise, the projection cheat sheets are pretty good too. Let's click into the quarterback position, and let's see what I got cooking here. So I've done this by tier for you guys, and on the screen here, you can see I have the first tier of QBs, and that's going to be Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, and Pat Mahomes. I do think that these guys are kind of interchangeable, and basically you have to spend maybe a late second, early third round pick on these QBs. I think they're all fine. I think it really is fun when you have a Travis Kelce in the first round and you want to stack him with Mahomes. I like that move. I like stacking Josh Allen with Stephon Diggs. And then Jalen Hurts, he's got two stackable options, whether it's A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, and he's got also Dallas Goedert later. I'm cool with these guys, and I do recommend stacking these three studs with one of their stud players in the first or second round. For me, I'm going to go with Jalen Hurts, though, because he's got the rushing touchdown upside that we're looking for. Josh Allen is like a combination of Hurts and Patrick Mahomes, and I really like the Buffalo offense. I think when the Buffalo Bills get near the red zone this year, we're talking Diggs, Gabe Davis, Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox, and then maybe James Cook, maybe Latavius Murray at the running back spot. I think Buffalo's going to put up a lot of points. And then I don't need to tell you to draft Travis or Patrick Mahomes. I have him ranked third here, but again, these guys are so tight in my projections. I'm kind of torn. I think they're all equal here. So that is my tier one of QBs, and I think that's pretty standard for most websites and rankings you're going to see. Let's move on to the tier two rankings. And tier two is Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow, Justin Fields, and four guys that I feel really strongly about. Obviously, with Fields and Lamar Jackson, you have the immense rushing upside of these two guys. You also have a little bit more injury risk with these two because they do run so much. And then you have your prototypical pocket passers, Justin Herbert and Joe Burrow. And they both offer stuff with their legs, which I think is nice. They're both going to rush for 200 or 300 yards and have a handful of touchdowns. I do have Herbert ahead of Burrow because of the calf strain for Joe Burrow. I think that might limit him a little bit to begin the year. So for me, after the top three QBs, I really like Lamar Jackson. I think we should be excited about that Ravens offense there with Todd Monken, the new offensive coordinator. It sounds like they're going to run a lot more three wide receiver sets, which is good for Lamar. He's going to have better targets than he's had in his whole career. But there's also a stat that I found. Running quarterbacks have more success and more yards per carry when there's more receivers on the field. So that alone is going to add, a handful of yards to Lamar's carries this season. So I love Lamar Jackson. If you're not interested in Lamar Jackson, I think this is probably my favorite tier to grab a QB from, just based on value, because Hurts, Allen, Mahomes all cost a late second, early third round pick in your redraft leagues. Lamar maybe a fourth round pick, but Herbert, Burrow, Fields, these guys are in that sweet spot of maybe late fourth to fifth round for sure. So taking one of these guys in the fifth round allows you to get your running backs and your wide receivers in the first four. And honestly, these guys are all in pretty good offenses. Maybe not the Bears, but Lamar Fields is going to be able to kind of lift himself up and get all those rushing yards. And he's got DJ Moore now, which looked pretty good last preseason, week one. So to me, my favorite guy is Justin Herbert of this group. I think he's going to throw for almost 5,000 passing yards this year. I think he's a threat to lead the league in passing yards and passing touchdowns. So I think the value of these guys is the greatest. You also have Joe Burrow, who's going to, we love Jamar Chase. We love T. Higgins. We love that passing offense. But I think Herbert has more weapons. He's got Keenan Allen, Mike Williams. He's got Josh Palmer. He's got Quentin Johnston, Austin Eckler. He's got Gerald Everett. There's a lot to like with Herbert in this passing offense led by Kellen Moore, the new OC. So this is my tier two guys. I think Lamar, Herbert, and Burrow and Fields, these guys can all finish as top five QBs. And honestly, that's probably my favorite draft strategy. So if you're watching this and trying to get a draft strategy idea, I like to wait for this second tier of QBs, and this has been one of my strategies for the last handful of years. I like grabbing a QB that's like got potential to be top five, but he's not ranked necessarily in the top five. And I think all four of these guys qualify. But let's move on to tier three. Tier three is not as big for me. It's Trevor Lawrence, Deshaun Watson, and Tua Tagovailoa. And I think, guys, I'm going to add. My rankings are going to say Daniel Jones is a tier four guy, but I think I got to put him in tier three after what I saw last night. I don't like to take too many things away from the preseason, but I think he should be drafted right next to Tua Tagovailoa, and he's got a lot of rushing upside. But I'll start with Trevor Lawrence. He's going to enter a year three season where he absolutely shattered expectations last year with new head coach and new offensive system by Doug Peterson. You add Calvin Ridley to that. You also have Travis Etienne healthy for another year of seasoning with Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram. Zay Jones is there. I think this passing offense gets better for Trevor Lawrence, and he does offer a good amount of rushing value with his legs. So Trevor Lawrence is, if you miss on the top 7 QBs, Trevor Lawrence is safe. He's going to get you 17 to 20 points per game. It feels pretty good, and I think he can be better than what he does last year. I think he was, QB 7 or 8? So I really like Trevor Lawrence. Deshaun Watson is a guy that's been getting a lot of bad buzz the last week or so on social media. It sounds like the Browns offense has been struggling in camp, but that's all going to get worked out. I think the last 2 games of Deshaun Watson's season last year, he played pretty well. He did struggle in the games before that, but otherwise, you're talking about a team that has continuity going into the offseason for the first time. Deshaun Watson's been practicing. He's been there. They added Elijah Moore, so you have a really good receiving core of Amari Cooper, Elijah Moore, Donovan Peoples-Jones. They draft Cedric Tillman. You got David Njoku, Nick Chubb out of the backfield. It's a really good collection of talent on that offense in Cleveland. So I'm very excited about what the Browns can do. And Deshaun Watson qualifies as a fringe top 10 quarterback to me. I think Tua Tagovailoa, we love what he can do with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. I wish they had, a third receiver that made sense. I think it's Braxton Berrios or Robbie Chosen or Cedric Wilson, something like that. They also don't have a tight end. So that does ding him a little bit. It's all Waddle, it's all Tyreek. So he's a little bit more fragile because of the lack of weaponry. And he's also got the concussion concerns. But I know that whenever Tyreek, Waddle, and Tua are healthy, Tua is probably a top 10 QB. And I think they're going to be in a lot of shootouts down there in South Beach. And then Daniel Jones, man, I have him ranked 11th here. I'm going to put him in the tier 3 group because I think he's set up for a career year passing the ball. I don't know if he's going to run for as many yards and rushing touchdowns as he's done in the past, but I absolutely love what I saw last night. Darren Waller was a huge target for Daniel Jones, and it just, man, like the fact that he made stuff happen last year with that receiving core of, it was Darius Slayton, it was Richie James, it was Wan'Dale Robinson, it was sometimes Sterling Shepard, it was just a tight end was Daniel Bellinger, a rookie. It was just a slag heap of talent at the wide receiver position. And they went out and did some things with grabbing Darren Waller, who I believe is more receiver than tight end. You also bring in Paris Campbell. They re-signed Slayton. They re-signed Isaiah Hodgins. They also added some other veteran pieces along the way. But I think we're going to see Daniel Jones, year 2 of the Brian Daboll offense, really take a step forward this year. And they could be a top 10 offense. You also have Saquon Barkley out of the backfield catching passes. So Daniel Jones playing with the best weapons of his career. He's playing in a year 2 of the Brian Daboll system that we saw him play his best ball last year. I think he takes another step forward this year. So I like what I saw from the Giants. Let's move on to tier 4 here. These guys are all like really good QB2 options. Like, one of my favorite things is if I miss out on one of the top QBs, I'm trying to grab 2 QBs, especially in a 12-man league. Like if I can come away with Daniel Jones and one of these other tier 4 guys, I think that's enough for me to play the matchups and just come away with a really nice team. But Geno Smith, Kirk Cousins, Dak Prescott, and Anthony Richardson. Quickly on Anthony Richardson, I did the digging on Tim Tebow's 2011 season when he was playing for the Broncos. He started 11 games that year. The dude averaged 18 fantasy points per game. And we all know Tim Tebow couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat. So it's pretty crazy to me that Anthony Richardson's been discounted pretty much all summer as a, and sometimes he falls even farther in drafts, but he is the ideal QB2. The guy's going to have an immense amount of rushing upside. He's probably going to flirt with like 800 to 900 rushing yards. The touchdowns are going to be what ultimately moves him up or down the numbers, but I'm thinking 6, 7, 8 rushing touchdowns, somewhere in that range makes sense to me. And if he can just be around 55 to 60% completion percentage, that's all he needs to do his rookie year. That's going to be better than Tim Tebow. That's going to be better than Josh Allen, Justin Fields, Jalen Hurts. As long as he's in that window, he's going to be fantasy relevant, and he could be a guy that just continues to gain steam as the season goes on. So, like, if you want to just pull two, again, Daniel Jones, Geno Smith, Kirk Cousins, Dak Prescott, Anthony Richardson, these guys are all parts of really good offenses. And I actually think I need to probably add Jared Goff to this tier as well. I think he qualifies. If you wanted to pull two of these quarterbacks, make it, even if it's Anthony Richardson and Jared Goff, we know these QBs are functional. They have good offenses. Like, we like the Giants, we like Seattle, we like the Vikings. I still like the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys are going to have to throw the ball a lot. They added Brandon Cooks. Tony Pollard's back. You got CeeDee Lamb. You got Michael Gallup. You got some playmakers there for Dak Prescott to get the ball to. Richardson should be fine as long as he's in that completion percentage window. And then we know Jared Goff's going to throw the ball a lot. And they added their weapons with Laporta and Jahmyr Gibbs. So this is probably one of my favorite tiers to try the strategy of. If I can't get Herbert or Lawrence, I'm usually looking for two of these guys. In a 10 or 12 man league, man, like, what's the difference between Lawrence to Jared Goff? It's maybe 2-3 points per game. So by taking two of these QBs late, it allows you to stack up those running backs, those wide receivers, get an elite tight end. And basically, you're just going to say, I just want like 16 to 18 points at my QB. And especially if you get two, you can play the matchups and come away feeling pretty good about that. So I love this group. Let's move on to my tier 5 here. Tier 5, I got Rodgers and Wilson, two old veterans here that don't offer much rushing upside. I think Russell Wilson does have more rushing upside than Aaron Rodgers. I view both these guys as just QB2s. I wouldn't feel comfortable with either of these guys as my QB1. I think for Superflex, though, like, the names that you see on the screen, like, these are all great QB2s for Superflex League. I think I'd feel pretty happy about that. But with the Jets, I'm very concerned about the offensive line. It doesn't seem like it's coming together in training camp right now. You might see Rodgers and the offense struggle to begin the year. I know everyone's kind of looked at their first 6 games. People are projecting only 2 or 3 wins for the Jets in the first game. So, like, worst case scenario, they might be 2-4. Offense might struggle. Things perk up after their bye week 7. And then I think we want to buy into the Russell Wilson. I have him at QB 18. The dude had the worst year of his career last year and was QB 16. So I think we're still discounting Russell Wilson. Again, I don't think he's a QB, a top 12 QB, a top 10. He's not a top 10, top 12 QB, but he can be a really solid QB2 for you. Moving on to tier 6, and I'm excited about tier 6. We got Jordan Love, Derek Carr, Kenny Pickett, Brock Purdy, Matt Stafford. I call this the Superflex 6. Tier 6, because if you get a stud QB early, you can wait for Love, Carr, Pickett, Purdy, Stafford. We know these guys are the starters on their team. They have the keys to the offense, and to be honest with you, like, these guys aren't great QBs, but they offer enough value. Love and Pickett with their legs. Carr, Purdy, Stafford don't really offer much with their legs, but they have a good arm and they have good offenses to throw the ball to. But I think these guys are all going to be around 15 points per game. They're a solid QB2. We're probably going to be looking at these guys on the waiver wire at some point in 1 QB leagues, for bye weeks and whatnot. So I think for Superflex only, you're looking at the top 18 guys, but Love, Carr, Pickett, Purdy, Stafford are pretty fun for Superflex. If I continue into tier 7, this is where the question marks begin to come. And that's Sam Howell, Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, Mac Jones, and Ryan Tannehill. Yes, these guys are all starting week 1. I think Sam Howell is a sneaky guy in Superflex leagues to put as your QB3. He's got upside with his legs. We love Terry McLaurin. I love Jahan Dotson. I like Curtis Samuel, and I like Gibson catching the ball. So he's got some weapons attached to his legs as well. Bryce Young and CJ Stroud, these guys are going to struggle. I don't think they should be your QB2 in Superflex leagues going into the year, but I do think that they can be your 3, and maybe at some point, they enter your lineup during the season. Mac Jones and Ryan Tannehill are just kind of the end game guys in a Superflex league where you just collect them because no one else has drafted them, and you say, yeah, I'll take them as my 3. They might start for me a few games, but they're both starters, and they're going to hold on to the jobs as long as they're playoff relevant. Tier 8 is like the remaining starters in the league here. I kind of want to move Desmond Ridder up after last night's preseason game into tier 7 because I thought he looked really sharp. And the thing with Ridder is the job is his. Like, he gets to play and start as long as it looks good. So I kind of want to give him a longer leash than I'm giving him. I think Kyler Murray, I don't know when he's going to play. I don't know if he's going to play, but where he's being drafted, he makes sense as a QB3 in Superflex leagues. Garoppolo and Baker Mayfield will hold on to the jobs as long as they're healthy. But we'll see here. I'm not super excited. If I had to, I should probably move Jimmy Garoppolo up, but I really don't know who to move him up over. And I guess I'm just out on Tampa Bay's quarterback situation. I think we're going to see Kyle Trask at some point. So these guys are all like the backups that are probably going to play at some point this year. Hopefully not Gardner Minshew. Hopefully not Jameis Winston. But we're going to see, Colt McCoy or Clayton Tune at Arizona, starting for while Kyler Murray's out. Hopefully Sam Howell can play well enough where Jacoby Brissett's not a thing. Hopefully Tua stays healthy where Mike White's not a thing. And then I think we're going to see Kyle Trask at some point. And then hopefully Jimmy Garoppolo stays healthy so we don't have to put up with Brian Hoyer. But there you go, guys. That is my quarterback rankings. I'm going to continue making videos throughout the day here. I have a running back video, receiver video, and a tight end video next. So tune into those. Leave a comment. It helps. It really helps the algorithm if you just leave a comment. You can even just say hi. Let me know if I was good or wrong on a quarterback ranking. I love hanging out and talking with you guys in the comments. So leave a comment, like the video, subscribe if you are new. Let's try to get that 1,000 subs before Detroit takes on the Kansas City Chiefs week 1 of the regular season. So thank you so much, guys. Enjoy the rest of your weekend and happy drafting if you guys are drafting. Peace.